Hello guys, if you are in a job interview, interviewers are definitely going to ask you one question, at least one question to design a system. And they can ask you anything starting from social media website or a Dropbox or tiny URL or even recommendation system that you see on the e-commerce websites. And those interviewers are always keen to know that how you are designing your system, that it is reliable and resilient at the same time when you have millions of subscribers on your website. So it is very important to understand the building blocks of system design. My name is Aditya Kumar and I welcome you in this video series of designing a system with fundamentals. And I'll help you to understand all those building blocks of designing in a very easy way. So this is the first video in the series, and in this video we'll try to understand the basic of scalability, types, and the difference between those types. So before we jump into that, let's try to understand what do you mean by a scaling. Scaling means how your system is scalable to handle regardless of the traffic on your website. If you can handle 100 subscribers at a time but not 10,000, your system is not scalable. If you can handle 100 subscribers or million subscribers at a time, it means your system is scalable. It means your system is resilient enough to handle the load. Doesn't matter it's 1,000 or millions. So to understand the basics, I'll start with a very basic example of bus service so you can visualize that whole thing without going into system level. So you can understand how in real life you can handle the scalability issues. So we'll try to understand the scalability first using a bus service analogy. Assume that you are running a sightseeing business in your town, and every day you are seeing a few tourists because it's a small town and small businesses, small attractions, and your life is good. But one day your mayor decided that let's organize a fair to attract more visitors to the town that'll help to grow our local business more, and you'll be very happy to see that. But what'll happen, you'll start seeing flood of visitors in your town on that day, and everybody is lined up to see the site, to see your city. And now the big question is, how will you manage the traffic, especially when you have just one bus and you always had one bus because of the number of tourists you are serving every day. So the first option is to let the people in the bus as per capacity. Once they're set in, and meanwhile rest of the people can wait outside to finish the trip. And once they finish the trip, they'll wait for some time, and once they'll come back and they'll just hop onto the bus and go. So do you think it's a good idea? I doubt. No, not at all. This is because you're making your customer unhappy because they are waiting in line in case if they miss the bus for 1 or 2 minutes. And you'll get the poor rating on travel websites like TripAdvisor. And as a result of that, your revenue is going to be get impacted. What should you do now? You have few options. The first option would be, you know what, I can get 2 buses. So you can get a maximum number of people at a time and go for sightseeing. All good. That'll make your customers happy. And instead of buying 2 buses or 2 drivers, you can choose other option, because now you have 2 buses, 2 drivers, right? So instead, I can have one thing. I have one driver, and what I can do is I can have big bus and I have 2 layers, and I have all the people on one bus and leave with them for sightseeing. Again, customers are happy. They are able to see sightseeing together. In case if they are a big group, they can take care of you can serve all together. So now you have you have 2 options. The one is you can have 2 buses, By doing that, you can have all the passenger in different buses and then take out for sightseeing, or you can have one bus with two layers and put all the people in one bus and go there. So you're easy to you now you are able to handle those traffic with no issues. So you can apply the same concept in your system designing. Say you got an awesome idea to build an application to solve customer pain. You stayed up in the night and built an awesome app. In the morning, you got those app working, you test it, it's working fine. Now you go to a server, you can go to GoDaddy kind of, or any other hosting services. You can buy cheaper option, like nowadays it's kind of very cheap, so you can host by $5 a month, something like that. And now once you launch there, you test on the production on different devices, you're making sure that you are able to access, and once you are able to access your production code, you share the app on internet with your friends and they start going there, and overnight your application become popular and you are featured in news. What will happen? You'll see millions of users hammering on your website. What will you do? What will happen? What can happen? What can go wrong? Since you started on a smaller host or server, you'll see your system is crashed. You cannot access the content. It is showing 545 or anything, like anything can go, anything can go wrong. So you go to the server, you check it out. Oh, because I have usage of memory or CPU, you are out. Everything is down. So you get it working. So what you can do for a quick fix? You can add more CPUs or more database or more memory depending upon your need and restart the service. And your server will become a little bigger. And now it's stronger as well. And now you can handle all those customers with no issues. And your system is up and working, and now you can handle more loads. So if you're seeing more and more visitor, you can add more and more CPUs, more memories, or more database based on the kind of load or the kind of application you have. And this will make your existing server bigger and bigger because you keep on adding things. So now you're making one server bigger and bigger, so you are scaling a server. So it's called vertical scaling, right? It's going vertical, it's kind of getting big, so it's called vertical scaling, and a few people call it scaling up. So it's either you can call it vertical scaling or you can call it scaling up. Let's talk about another approach. Again, back to the same situation when you have thousands of users and your system is crashed, your server is down due to the load. What you can do is you can have another machine and share the load among both machines. Your machine will again up and working, handle multiple people, and start increasing traffic and handle that. So we can keep on adding more and more servers based on your need, and this is how you can add servers. So by doing, instead of adding more CPUs or memory, you are actually having low power or like equivalent powered CPUs or servers, I should say, keep on adding. So this is called horizontal scaling or scaling out. So you are adding more and more machines, called scaling out. So now you can see both out and up, vertical and horizontal. So same thing with the bus, very much similar to the bus. You have multiple buses to handle the load or add more layer into the bus. So the question is which one you would like to choose. I mean, it's not that only horizontal scaling is worth. It's depending on what kind of application you hosting, what kind of things you are doing based on that. So let's try to see the difference between two. Of course, no solution is perfect, so let's try to see the benefit of each and pro and cons of each option and understand that. So let's use the bus analogy again. So if you use multiple buses, you need a conductor to make sure people go in the right bus depending upon their preference and based on the bus load, and act as a gatekeeper. In the same way, when you design a system, you have a conductor which is known as the load balancer, whose job is to send the traffic on your machines. So as you can see that here we have a load balancer, and we can direct that traffic to different servers, the same way the conductor does traffic on different buses. So in horizontal scaling, you have to have load balancer, while in server on in vertical scaling, you don't need that. Okay, so the second option. So if bus is just a machine, right? And you know that it can go wrong anytime, either small or big. So something goes wrong with your one bus. So in term of vertical scaling, you can see the one bus is there and that goes wrong. What will happen? Your system will stop. And at the same time, you have one bus among multiple buses. What will you do? You can add, you have another machine, actually another bus which can serve remaining customer, just like the first one, the first idea. Again, that idea is not that great, but still it is. So in case of vertical, you have weight limit. You have to wait until you get your bus back on the road. So in that case, this is one of the biggest drawback of vertical scaling, that once your server is down, your business is down. But in horizontal scaling, if one machine is down, at least your business is running. So in the first, in the horizontal scaling, it's resilient because your server is at least running, even though one server will be overloaded, but it is running. While vertical scaling is a single point of failure. Once it is done, you are out. Let's talk about third difference. So for, let's say you have two buses, drivers may need to coordinate and communicate between them. For say the one group is there and they want to communicate about direction or some traffic changes, they need to communicate. And in case of one level bus, the driver can communicate here, even with passengers. So now in this case, the communication between one bus inside the bus itself is faster, while this one is delayed. You may lose some data. So this first one is called remote procedure call, RPC, and a kind of API. So each server will talk to each other. For say the one server is database server, other is application server. So you need to have communication between them. That's called RPC. And in single server, it's called faster communication because it's all inter-process communication. Now, another difference. So there's no limit of adding more buses. So if you're seeing more and more visitor, you add more bus. If you see more visitor, you can add one more bus. So there's no limit, but in a bus, there is a limit to add layers. Okay, 2 level of the bus is fine, but if you are going towards third layer, fourth layer, your engine is not going to support that, right? So you cannot do that. So that is one of the biggest challenge. So in horizontal scaling, you can actually expand and contractible, because if for say if you are seeing half of the visitor, you can rest of the bus, you can return it or put on the hold, on halt, something like that, but at least put in the depot. But at least you're running only 2 buses, but not all. But once you scale your server, it's not advisable to remove the CPUs. It's, you are going to use it, you spend the money, you're going to use it. Another difference, as I mentioned in the one of the difference is RPC. So if the 2 buses, the RPC going on, there are a lot of inter-process communication going on, chances are higher that you lose the information. But having single bus, you cannot lose the information, kind of impossible. Possibility is there, but kind of impossible. So data inconsistency will be there, but in vertical scaling, you'll find the data consistency. The another difference is it may be cheaper option, because if you are adding a small bus based on the need, you're not going to spend hell lot of money. But if you're going to add more layer, you need to customize the whole bus. That is going to be expensive. Like the same way, servers, you can buy another server cheaper than adding powerful CPUs and memories into one machine, because CPUs are expensive. Now those are the difference, and of course each has their own benefits and drawbacks. There are few things that are very good in horizontal scaling and few things is very good in vertical scaling. Like for say like load balancer, it's another additional setup for load balancer, additional logic, additional expense. But in first one, there's nothing like that. It's a good thing. But there are few common things which we need to make sure that we pick it together and make it a hybrid kind of scaling. And that is, we'll try to find which is more important among them. Like resilience and expandable and contractible thing is very good in horizontal scaling, but inter-process communication, and or should I say faster and data consistency, is good in scaling up. So we can combine both and make a scalable system. So we can have a bigger machine and have horizontal scaling. So by having a powerful machine, we get power of memory and CPU, and same time we can scale if the load increases. So if you're using cloud infrastructure like AWS or Azure, you can have a rule to add or remove more servers based on the load by auto scaling. So hope you are able to understand the difference between horizontal and vertical scaling. And next video we'll try to understand how you can scale a server or a database. So please stay tuned for the next video. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe it, and if you have any feedback you want to improve it, please write a comment below. Your feedback is very important. Till then, see you next video. Thank you.